The president has issued more pardons, 21 in total, and once again, it includes fraudsters. In one case, a bribery convict whose daughter donated millions to Trump's super PAC, and in another, a woman who was granted clemency in Trump's first term received another pardon for another fraud conviction. It's in stark contrast with the president's tough talk about fraud in Minnesota. I'm actually shocked that they didn't even wait until the week was done to pardon another fraudster. I mean, somebody who already received a pardon and then was
back and did
a
it again.
recidivist and came back and did it again. I mean, why?
Look, when I saw this, every time I see one of these stories, and I've talked about it here, and I think it's ludicrous that he pardoned somebody, and everybody deserves, if they deserve a pardon, they should get a pardon. And that, my friends, is where I come in, because there's a lot of folks sitting in jail or that did their time who deserve a pardon. And that's why the pardon was enacted, so folks could get a second chance, and I'm all about it. But the way we're doing it now, I call it the bastardization of the pardon powers is what I call it, and it's just not right. And for those legal eagles listening, you should know if Donald Trump was taking money so that he could actually pardon somebody because they gave money to a super PAC, did you know, because of the Supreme Court laws or the thing that they passed, that he could not be indicted for any crime?
Well, and I mean, maybe even more than that, the way that...
Hey everybody, yesterday Donald Trump secretly granted a whole bunch more pardons. I'm hearing that there are 21 total pardons and commutations, but some of them still remain under wraps. Let me tell you about the ones we know about. I'm Liz Oyer, the former pardon attorney for the Department of Justice. So the first one's really nuts. Remember I told you about Adriana Camberos, a woman that Trump granted clemency to during his first presidency and now has ended up back in prison on her second federal fraud conviction? Well, Trump granted her clemency again, and her brother, who was her co-defendant, as well. Second, Trump has granted a full pardon to Wanda Vasquez Garced, the former governor of Puerto Rico, who Trump has referred to as a Trump-supporting governor, as well as her two co-defendants. Vasquez was prosecuted for taking bribes from a Venezuelan businessman named Julio Herrera Valentini. Herrera's daughter donated a total of $3.5 million to MAGA Inc., and then her father and his two co-defendants got a full pardon from Trump. Trump also pardoned a guy named Taryn Pizer. He was convicted of insider trading and sentenced to 42 months in prison. He was also ordered to pay back over $17 million. He was actually just sentenced in June of 2025, and prosecutors in Trump's own DOJ, including the U.S. attorney he appointed, Bill Asalee, lauded the sentence as a just result. But now, Donald Trump has wiped it out with a pardon. Trump also commuted the sentence of Jacob Deutsch, who was sentenced in 2024 to 5 years in prison for a very large mortgage fraud. This was actually Deutsch's second federal fraud conviction. The New York Times is reporting that several lawyers and lobbyists with close ties to Trump worked behind the scenes to get these clemencies granted. Because, of course, we all know that Donald Trump has established a pay-to-play justice system. I think you all know this, but as somebody who worked for several years trying to get clemencies for deserving people, this abuse of the clemency system is really quite upsetting. I'm sure more information will come to light over the next couple of days, and I will keep you posted.
Hey MAGA, you say you care about fraud? Well, then explain this. So Donald Trump this week has pardoned the same person for fraud for a second time. That's right. He issued a second pardon on a woman who committed fraud for a second time after she got pardoned the first time. She got pardoned for fraud in 2019, and then she got released, and then she committed more fraud, and Donald Trump pardoned her again. And do you want to know why he pardoned her again? Because she hired lawyers that he knows and he likes. So when you guys say that you care about Minnesota daycare fraud, you don't, unless you scream about this. Because he has done it twice, and I think that pardons are for people who made a mistake one time, and then the pardon is meant to give them a second chance. But if you are committing fraud for a second time, and these are all corporate scheme things that hurt regular people, you shouldn't get a pardon for the second time. So you have to ask yourself, why is your Orange King so interested in giving the same woman a second chance at a pardon? Please, I would love for you to explain that.
I never want to hear a single thing about fraud ever again from MAGA. You might have missed this, but Donald Trump pardoned a South Bay businesswoman, Adriana Camberos, who was convicted of fraud twice. And Donald Trump just pardoned her for the second time. This is the story. For the second time in 5 years, Trump has granted clemency to twice convicted Adriana Isabel Camberos. 2016, Camberos was first convicted for taking part in a fraud scheme that involved selling counterfeit 5-hour energy drinks. She was sentenced to 26 months in prison. Trump then commuted her sentence on the last day of his first term. At 42 days after her sentence was commuted, prosecutors later found that Camberos committed wire fraud, participated with her brother Andres in another fraudulent scheme that netted them tens of millions of dollars. Last year, a federal judge sentenced Camberos to about 14 months in prison. Donald Trump today pardoned this woman again. It is beyond corrupt, but when I hear a Trump supporter say that they're concerned about fraud and that they are worried about fraud, hello? Donald Trump pardoned a woman for committing fraud, who then committed fraud again, who then Donald Trump pardoned again today. It's just an absolute joke. If MAGA ever tells you about fraud, just tell them about Adriana Camberos.
Imagine this. The president who is all about wanting to get rid of waste and fraud pardons a person who committed fraud not once, but twice. I mean, it's just getting very comical at this point of just the hypocrisy that we've been seeing in this first year. I mean, imagine, like, I think tomorrow, what is it? No, I think day after tomorrow, it's going to make his first full year of being in his second term, and it's only getting worse from what we could see, from taking other people's awards to pardoning known fraudsters. MAGA, what do y'all have to say about this? I ask every time we point out some hypocrisy. Y'all sit there quiet and y'all want to still continue on to say that this is the best president we've ever had and stuff is getting done. He's doing things other presidents have not done. Yeah, y'all right about the latter, because he's doing a lot of things former presidents have not done, which includes pardoning the same person twice for a very similar crime. Y'all are going to defend this until the day is done. But no, when Biden pardoned his own son, y'all went in an uproar about it. Now, I'm not going to lie. Like, I understand that Hunter Biden did commit some crimes, and I'm not going to lie. He probably should have served some time for that. But if this was Trump put in the same position and he pardoned his own children or sons, whatever you want to call it, y'all would not be saying a damn thing about it. All of that money that was committed through all of these fraudulent crimes are probably getting funneled to him in some type of way, in bribery, or who knows what could be going on. Because I feel that that's pretty alarming to think that he's pardoning the same person 2 times. Like, this man does not think about anybody but himself, maybe his children, but anybody that's not in his inner circle, like, you could go to hell for all he probably cares. A woman who committed fraud 2 times on 2 different occasions, I think within the span of like 4 or 5 years, because I think she committed it, if I heard the video correctly, in 2021 was the first offense, and she was only going to get about 2 years, which, I mean, no one wants to go to jail, but on the grand scheme of things, I mean, that wasn't going to be spending the rest of her life in jail. But no, she got a pardon 2 times. I'm just going to keep saying it because it has to sink in. Getting pardoned for fraud 2 times. But yet all the Trump supporters and MAGA are wanting to eliminate waste from people who are getting too much in food stamps. Oh, the healthcare industry is getting too much money allocated to people who don't need it. This is just unbelievable. So me personally, I'm not saying anyone has to agree with me. I'd rather somebody maybe get an extra $100 in food stamps Now, granted, there is a lot of people who do not need them, who abuse them. You definitely will find people abusing the system for anything. And I'm not saying that it's right, but I'd rather things like this happen to people that are just regular, everyday, common folks like us. Like all of these millionaires and billionaires that are committing fraud. Why are we letting them get away with it with not even a mention of it, but let alone somebody filling up a grocery cart full of groceries and junk food and soda? That's the people we give all of the energy to. And I do need to start saying this in the new year in 2026. Everyone has the right to vote for who they want. Like, I can't stop you, just like you're not going to agree with me and I won't agree with you. You have the right to vote for who you want or support who you want. But what gets me is that when the hypocrisy comes from y'all almighty savior in the White House, you turn a blind eye to it. But when it's anybody else, it's such a big deal. Like, this made the person the worst president in the world, in the history of the country, what have you. But things like this are happening in front of your face and you have nothing to say. But why do we have to let things like this fall by the wayside? But just the average person has to catch heat for getting a little bit more benefits. This man is definitely getting bribed to do this. And just think, this man is already rich and is getting richer and richer by doing all of these shady things while he's in the White House. It's only going to get worse because he's setting himself up so that when this term is over, he's going to be all set to go and he won't have to worry about anything. He's going to have, if he's lucky to be alive at the end of this term, he has everything set in place. And is going to make it a huge mess for the next president to have to clean up. But anyway, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. If you made it this far, I always appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'm going to catch you guys in the next video. Bye. See you later.